cool kids, it's me, it's CGB, telling you that Cool Stuff Inc. is teaming up with Covert Go Blue and MTGNerdGirl on a spooktacular limited edition set of black metal tokens. This is a one-time only production run, with each set of tokens individually numbered and totally unique. And this time around, we're accenting the gothic horror vibes of these wolf and vampire tokens with a black metal treatment. Pre-orders are only open for a short 2-week window, and after that, they'll never be offered again. Don't miss the chance to pre-order your unique token set today. CoolStuffInc.com. Cool stuff in stock.
All right, guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be going over the Crimson Vow cards for Limited. We're going to talk about which cards have been performing either better or worse than Yanks and I initially thought they would. So Yanks, welcome back.
Hello, everybody.
I paused like I do when I was recording YouTube videos because then I edit all the pauses, but I was like, oh shit, I'm not freaking doing that. Okay, moving on. So the first card that Yanks and I kind of agreed that has actually overperformed our initial expectations is Piercing Light. This 1 mana instant deals 2 damage to target attacking or blocking creature and scries 1.
Yeah, it's turned out to me, for me at least, that there seems to be a decent amount of smallish creatures, good creatures that you want to, that you can kill with this card, and it's hard to play around being at 1 mana.
I think what I thought is that the format would be a little bit too wide for this ability, but I'm finding that there actually are a lot more 3/2s that you get some really good value by killing, and also playing around 1 white mana is nearly impossible. Like, you have to play into this every single time because they could just hold it open forever. There's really no intense commitment to bluffing this card, so I'm getting got by it quite often because it's not in my best interest to ever play around it for any long period of time, right?
Yeah, it's almost not even like you get got by it. It's just you accept that it could happen.
Basically, I would agree.
You're priced into it. You realize this is gonna happen some percentage of the time when they leave up open white, but I can't play around it forever.
So our initial thought on this card was a 2/5, which is still not awful, but I do think it is performing a bit higher, and I am taking it a bit more, and we can bump it up to a 3. Another thing that I'd like to note is often in the last few sets, we've seen white be one of the weakest colors there is. In this set, I don't find that to be the case. What about you, Yanks?
I still don't particularly like white. I mean, I think it's better than it was last set.
Okay, well, nobody likes you, so...
I don't know. I've struggled with white decks.
Some of my best performing decks has been Selesnya.
I don't think I've played a Selesnya deck since my pre-release. And that deck was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, my 7-1 in Vegas was Selesnya. I've had the most 7 wins with Rakdos and Selesnya. Not close.
Yeah, I feel like my white decks just tend to get bricked by like a 1/4 really quickly.
But that's what the green is. Like, you're like, no 1/4 is greening the bricking the green half of this, and the white is like the imprisonment. I feel like the removal is super good.
Yeah, I mean most of the white decks that have felt good, but I've struggled with have been black white or blue white.
I've played so little blue white. I've played it once, and it was awful.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to Wedding Announcement. This is a bomb. This is a card we knew was a bomb. Let's go over what it is. It is a 3 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, put an invitation counter on Wedding Announcement. If you attacked with 2 or more creatures this turn, draw a card. Otherwise, create a 1/1 human token, human creature token. I feel like it should be a vampire, whatever. When Wedding Announcement has 3 or more invitation counters on it, transform it into Wedding Festivities, which is a +1/+1 anthem for all of your creatures.
Yeah, this card's we thought it was going to be good. I think it's been great. I don't really think I've seen it draw a card more than like once, but that doesn't really matter. It's still been really good.
So this was in my day 1 deck for Vegas, and I think this is honestly a huge part of the reason I was able to get there. This won me a fair amount of games. We kind of hedged on this card. We gave it a 3.5, and part of the reason for that is because it's kind of the middle road. If you don't have a lot of creatures, anthems are not very good. If you have a lot of creatures, it's very good. So they range between a 2 and a 4, depending on how they fit into your deck. However, This is so much different, and I don't think we anticipated how much different it is because it creates its own freaking dudes, and that is so powerful. With no creatures on board on turn 3, if this is the first thing you cast, you're going to win that game almost every time, and that has just been the case for me.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. We weren't that far off on this card because we knew it was going to be good, but it's just been better.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea of a 3.5 was that it also does have this ceiling that could go up to a 4.5, but I just think that there is no downside like there typically is in these anthems, so it is just a straight 4.5.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, awesome. Let's go ahead and move on to the blue cards, guys. The Hull Breaker Horror, 7 mana, 7/8 Kraken Horror with Flash. This spell can't be countered. Whenever you cast a spell, not instant or sorcery, which I always think that that's what this says, choose 1. You can return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, or you can return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, so this just bounces a bunch of shit forever. It's nuts. Holy smokes. I played against this in day 1, barely beat it for Vegas. I've been playing it in a ton of my draft decks. I actually splashed this card in a Gruul deck, and I was happy to do so.
Yeah, I've luckily I think only played against this card once, but it very handily destroyed me. And I haven't gotten to cast it yet. The downside to this card when we looked at it first, right, is it's 7 mana, but format's not overly fast, so that's fine.
And there's actually
once it comes into play,
there's a lot of premium mana dorks that are actually really good on their own, even if you're not splashing, like Blossoms and the 3 mana artifact. Those are pretty premium on their own, even if you're not doing crazy 7 mana shit. So this just makes it kind of easy to cast this card.
Yeah, the mana cost has not been anywhere near the detriment it sometimes can be.
Definitely. And again, it having flash means it's pretty much protected. You're allowing your opponents to play their shit first, and then it's protected for a turn, and then you can untap, bounce all their shit, and then sure, if they deal with it, great. Like, you're already so far behind, it doesn't matter. The one time I beat this card in Vegas was because I had the white Cemetery Protector. I was able to, they were like, oh, I had lethal on the way back, so I was just super wide, but I was able to flash it back in after they bounced it. But that was a mythic, was the only way I could beat this card. Everything else is pretty much just like a locked up win for anybody, I think. Yeah,
there's only 2 ways to beat this card, right? You're wide and you're ahead already, or they have to play this as their last card. They untap and they draw land, and you have 1 turn to kill it.
Yeah, I will say the one thing that's a little iffy with this is 7 mana, oftentimes you are out of cards, so you don't really have a lot of things to cast with it. And I've definitely been in a situation where I've had like a random 2-drop. I'm like, oh, I'm going to hold this because next turn I'm going to cast Horror, and I want to have a guarantee that I have a spell to bounce a thing. So it's definitely interesting. We gave it a 4. I do think we bring it up to a 4.5 because it can be instantly removed, but I think it wins a lot more games than we thought it would once it hits the battlefield.
Yeah, it can be removed, but it can protect itself as well, so that downside isn't as bad as some of the other large creatures that don't have ETBs.
Yeah. For those of you guys who are new and haven't seen our set reviews in the past, 5s are bombs that win the game, even if your opponent can't do anything about it. So some sort of big bomb that also has an ETB effect that will leave a lasting effect. So like an angel or a dragon that comes in and also blows up a creature. It's giving you that guaranteed 2-for-1. That's going to win a game a lot more consistently than oftentimes one big idiot that gets Doombladed and has no lasting effect. So that's why this is a 4.5. We're not saying it isn't going to win games. We're just saying that it's not locked up, when you cast it, guaranteed. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. This is one that I added that wasn't on Yanks' list, but this is a Lantern Bearer, a 1-mana flying 1/1 with Disturb 3. You can, oh, I didn't put the other side. Surprise. It comes into play and gives your creature flying. It's an equipment. Does it give +1/+1? No, right?
Yes, it does.
It does.
+1/+1 and flying is an aura. Yep.
Some of them do, some of them don't, so I kind of forget which is which. This card has overperformed for me massively. I don't actually know what our rating was, but I feel like I'll have 2 of these in my deck and be very happy about it.
Yeah, I think this card has been good. The only reason I didn't put it on it is we already gave it a 3.
Okay, so it probably still is a 3, but it's still performing much better than I expected.
Yeah, this card is very good. It's weird to play a creature that you actually want to die, but you do.
Also, it
a
just
lot
gets
of
in like
times.
4 or 5 poke damage early, and then you're just like, okay, I'll stick it on my green idiot and call it a day.
Yeah.
So good.
No, this card's been good.
All right, moving on to the black cards, guys. We have the Blood Fountain, a 1-mana artifact. When Blood Fountain enters the battlefield, create a blood token, and then 4 mana, tap, sacrifice, return 2 creatures from your graveyard to your hand. This is card advantage. Blood tokens have overperformed, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. Yeah, and the blood tokens synergize with everything vampires want to be doing in the set. I've loved this card. Casting it on 1 feels great. What do you think, Yanks?
There's probably been 7, 8, 10 games in this format where, I'm playing and the single card I want to draw most is this card.
Certainly.
There was a game in Vegas, probably was actually the one, didn't actually knock me out of day 2, but it was the round before, which put me on the edge in game 3, and literally we just came down to a top deck war, and whoever drew their Blood Fountain first won the game. That's exactly what happened. He drew his first before I could draw mine. Obviously these type of cards are always better in sealed because you're more attrition-y, but this format has been kind of attrition-y. There's a lot of removal. So yeah, I think this card has definitely overperformed, even though it's a little more expensive than your usual ability on these recursion spells.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad to hear you say that, because I always like these kinds of effects, and I know you're a little bit more on the fence about them typically, mostly because I run creature-heavy decks. So this is always the type of effect I'm happy to have, and this has overperformed what I typically see, but this is definitely something that I'm playing in all of my black decks, even not in this set. I'm always interested in the grab two creature type effects, which we see in almost every set, but this one is definitely more playable than we typically see. I'm happy to run 1, if not even 2 of these in every deck.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I've never cut this card, and I doubt I would ever cut the second one.
Yeah. I feel like this is performing about what I expected, only because I was very high on blood, and I'm always high on this effect, but we definitely didn't rate it as such. So we're going to go ahead and give it a 1-point bump at least.
Yeah, we gave it a 2, so I think it's probably up to a 3.
I'd like to see that conversation. I might roll back the tapes later. See where I was on that coin.
Yeah, you were. I'm sure you were higher than me. I'm just surprised that I would have been this low on it.
I think the only reason you were is partly because you didn't put any value in the blood tokens in the beginning there.
Maybe.
All right, so Dreadfest Demon, guys. This is a small, teeny tiny increase here. It is a 7-mana 6/6 flying demon. At the end step, you may sacrifice a non-demon creature. If you do, create a copy of Dreadfest Demon. Now, we gave this card a 4.5, meaning that, okay, they answer it in response. It does nothing, which is kind of the case. However, it's pretty easy to just play this the one turn your opponent taps out, make a copy of it, and now you have 2. They can no longer answer it easily with 1 removal spell, meaning that you've already created that lasting effect on the board. So if you play it cautiously enough, I feel like this is a 5 out of 5 home run. It will win the game every time, unless you're me and punt a game away in Vegas with it. But moving on.
Yeah, I think the part of this card I don't think I really considered until I actually played against it, even though I knew this is how it worked, was that the copy isn't just a 6/6 flyer. It's a copy with that ability.
Yes.
So you have to kill both of them, because it's not like you can kill one and, okay, I've got a big flyer to deal with, but it's not going to keep growing out of control. Well, you need to kill both of them right away.
Yes. The reason we knocked off half a point for it is because they could answer it before your end step. Like if you cast it and they just happen to have the hero's downfall, GG, it does nothing. And that is classically a 4.5 for us. But I feel like that it is so powerful that it is worth playing around, making sure your opponent is tapped out for 1 turn to make sure that this happens. And if you do, you're going to get max value out of it. And it's really close to impossible to beat. I've lost with it once on board, and that was because I punted and they played a Sorin. I should have still ran away with the game, but I chose to throw it in the trash. You guys want to hear about that? Check out the recap video on my YouTube channel that talks about Vegas and my day 2 shenanigans. But yeah, I literally threw it away. There's no way you should lose with this card on the board. Holly Eldrazi, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, welcome, guys. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the Gluttonous Guest, a 3-mana 1/4 vampire. Gluttonous Guest enters the battlefield, create a blood. Whenever you sacrifice a blood, gain a life. So this card synergizes very well with on-color things. You don't need to be in the black-white life gain deck. This synergizes with the blood... What's it called, Yanks?
I'm not sure.
Shoot, Blood Socialite or something? Blood
Crazed Socialite. The 3/3, or no, I know what you're thinking of. Blood Crazed Socialite's the 3/3 that...
The 1/3.
Yeah, no, I know, but that's not Blood Crazed. Blood Crazed Socialite's the 3/3 menace.
You keep
you're thinking of the Knight.
What is it?
Knight, I'm buying time while I scan the list. Restless Bloodseeker.
Restless Bloodseeker, thank you. I knew it had blood in the name, I couldn't think of what it was. So Restless Bloodseeker says at end step, if you've gained a life, create a blood, and that's just an uncommon. So this is an uncommon common combo, which is pretty easy to get working. And it also works really well with the bat in the format, which lets you get card advantage anytime you've gained life. And blood tokens are so easy to come by that you don't have to keep this particular blood token because you're likely to make more. This is a small boost. We gave it a 2. I think it's got enough synergy in closed within mono black to give it a 2.5. For those of you guys who are joining us with the raid, we are currently going over our previous set review and adjusting our scores on cards that either have under or overperformed our initial expectation for limited. So welcome to the channel, guys. I hope you stick around. We did do some alchemy preview cards, and we'll go over those again a little bit at the end, and I'll show them to you guys. So thank you so much for the raid. Also, it's my birthday, so you should totally stick around and hang out and hit the follow button. All right, Persistent Specimen. This is not a card that was on Yanks' list, but it has overperformed for me personally, and I've been happy to have this in every single black deck, and oftentimes I want to run even more than one, even without a Extort deck. What do you think of this card, Yanks?
I think this card's good. I'm playing it on my decks. Outside of Exploit, I don't think I'd ever want to run a second one.
It's kind of pretty handy. You know, even with a 1 of Exploit or something, like one random Tide Hunter, Tide Rot thing, I've been using this card. It's an annoying blocker. It helps like multi-block and then come back. It gives a lot of recurring value, and I've just really been happy to run this in everything, and I don't think I was before. I assumed it was kind of Exploit or pass, but it has been pretty much an always include for me.
Yeah, I agree it's an auto-include in any black deck. To me, it's performed just about what I was expecting, I think. Like a 2.5, which is what we gave it.
I'm a little higher on it. Probably happy to bump it up for a 3 because it's an auto-include, and I'm always kind of excited to get them. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the red cards, guys. We only have a couple more. So we have the Falconrath Celebrants, a 5-mana 4/4 vampire with menace. And when it enters the battlefield, create 2 blood tokens. This card we initially gave a 3. I think it is a 3.5. It has closed out a lot of games, and it is an amazing top deck. Like, you would not think a 5-mana 4/4 is an amazing top deck, but it really is. Late in the game, these 2 blood tokens will redraw you any excess lands that you have floating around in your hand. It also ensures that you can continue to redraw any blanks that you get off the top to put pressure back on the board late in the game. And I have loved this card and has definitely been a game-winning draw late. What do you think, Yanks?
I agree with everything you say. One thing I found very interesting in this set is while Evasion is always good and limited, Menace has felt particularly good in this format. And I can't really put my finger on why, but it's felt better than it usually does.
Yeah, this is a little bit taller than a format than we've seen in the last couple, especially the last one where it was a lot wider with a lot less tokens, or a lot more tokens. So Menace is going to be stronger there. And yeah, and also I think Menace is a little bit more powerful, especially in red, because the removal is so good. My black-red decks are just chock full of goodie removals, making Menace really difficult to deal with for my opponent.
True, red having 3 good common removal spells definitely helps there. And yeah, the blood tokens have proven to be very valuable in this format, even with literal 0 synergy.
Huh, who would have ever thought that?
Yep.
All right, guys.
I don't know.
Macerate is a card that wasn't on Yanks' list, but is on mine. This is a 5 mana, 4 damage spell at sorcery speed, and you can create blood tokens based on excess damage onto the creature. We rated this super low. We rated this like a 2-5. Yanks was at a 2. I was at a 2-5. It's sorcery speed at 5 mana, which we always see instant. It's 1 less damage than we typically see, and we didn't think blood tokens would be quite as relevant as they actually are. This card has shot way up for me. I will first pick this card.
This is what I want to go back and look at the video for, because I can't believe I would have given this a 2, especially because we gave it a 3 in the article.
I think you gave it a 2. I gave it a 2-5. I checked the VOD, and then I think I bumped it again for the article at a 3.
I mean, I was definitely lower than you were on this card. I'm not going to argue that. I'd just be surprised I was that low.
We really hated the fact that it was sorcery. We felt super gypped that we had a 5 mana removal spell that was sorcery at 1 point less.
I still hate the fact that it's sorcery and only deals 4.
I mean, if this was instant, it would be bonkers. I'm very happy with this. It feels so tempo-y to me. I love the blood tokens that it makes. I'm happy to just jam it on 5 for anything and get those blood tokens. Now, I'm not saying that this is premium 4.5 removal, but I'm saying I'm very happy with this card. It is a 3-5, but I'm happy with it like a 4. I will first pick this, without a rare bomb. Like, I'm definitely going to take Bleed Dry over it or something, but this has made me go into red in many drafts where I'm like, oh, 5th pick a Braid, and I'm not super happy with what I'm seeing for my second color. Fuck it, I'll just switch to red. This is a card I love.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely higher on it now than when I started, but I didn't mention it because I saw it was a 3 in the article, and that's about where I think it should be. I have first picked this card. I've been very unhappy to first pick this card. But then again, I'm also unhappy to first pick any common in this set other than Bleed Dry. So, the card is good, it's playable. I don't really think you can always have too many of a 5 mana spell, but it's got to get up there to probably like the 5 of them before you really want to start cutting them. So it's definitely a good card.
Gotcha. Yeah, so Specimen, I double-checked. It was a 2-5 in the video, so I want to bump that at least to a 3. And then Lacerate, actually, you 2.5, me 3. So, and I still think it's a 3-5.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see myself saying 2-5. 2, I would never be reluctantly playing this card. That's why I was surprised that would have been at a 2.
I still think it's a heck of a lot better than a 2-5.
Yeah, I think it's half a point better.
Which is what I gave it originally, I'm higher on it than I was originally. All right. So
that's probably about right? We both think it's been better than we thought by the same amount. That's shocking.
For sure. Dormant Grove. This is a card that I thought was going to be pretty medium. A 4 mana enchantment, do nothing. Feels real bad when you have no creatures on board. But I will say, its ability is real annoying. And when it does flip, holy shit, is that hard to deal with. This card has been awesome.
Yeah, I don't remember, honestly, talking too much about this card. I just don't remember the discussion about it.
I think the major discussion was like 4 mana do nothing feels awful.
Yeah. It has been very good, and I know I've been reading some people talking about it on the same level as some bomb rares, which I'm not sure I agree with that, but it has been very good.
It wins games, there's no doubt about it. Dormant Grove, it is a 4 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your combat, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then, if that creature has toughness 6 or greater, transform it. And I will say, there's some cheap 1/4s for 3 mana. So you play this on 4, you do the thing, and on 5, you flip it, and you just beat them in the face with Vigilance forever. It's hard to deal with. It doesn't die to Lacerate. It doesn't die to anything except for black, basically. White imprisonment, I guess. And yeah, now your big green beaters that also happen to block well now gets attack vigilant, which is nuts. This has been outperforming what I expected initially, for sure.
Yeah, and it's a tough card to play against because there are times when, exactly what you said, they flip it right away, and that's the scary part. There are other times when the scary part is leaving it on the front and it just starts to grow everything over time.
Sometimes that's just better, too.
Yeah.
All right. Warsong Pup. This is a card that was initially my preview card. Super cute. I thought this would be fine. I thought there would be enough wolves to make this card good and playable in the right deck, but I was wrong.
You come on. It's the cute pup, your preview card. You can't get its name wrong.
Packsong Pup? What did I say?
Warsong Pup.
Oh, whatever. Whatever. Everybody drink every time NerdGirl says a card wrong. Get fucked up. Okay, so this card, I was wrong. It is not reasonable to get other wolves on the battlefield with this. It's easy. No joke. There's so many good 3-drops at common and wolf. There's good 2-drops. Like, you can get those other 2-drop 2/4 wolves on your turn, the 2/2s. Last pick. And there's 1-drop wolves, and you could get those really easily too. Holy shit, any deck with 2 Packsong Pups is going to win so many games. I had a sealed pool of 2 of these, and I just made like 12 pups over and over again and bashed my opponent to 7 wins every time.
Yeah, I haven't had quite as much success with this card as you have, but it has been very good on the other side of the table that I've seen it.
Yeah, this thing has been like rare bomb level winning games for me. If I play this into another wolf, like, it's so much problem. Like, they have to be spending their premium removal to get rid of this, and they have to do it real quick, otherwise it grows out of control. If you're not playing black, you're dead.
Or white.
Yeah, or white, but there's only like 1, whereas I think black has a few more. Like with
white can get it with
dry, a couple of them.
Yeah, I mean, white can get it with the enchantment or the destroy target attacking creature, or / destroy target creature thing.
Oh yeah. I forgot about retribution. I did. So there's probably 2 in white and probably 2 or 3 in black. But yeah, still very, very good. I'm not sure what we gave it initially, but I just want to say, and Valor Stance. Yeah. So and 3 in white, 3 in black probably. This is just better than I thought. It's super easy to make the pup do the pup things, and then you're going to eat their face.
Yeah, I think the card's been a little better than I thought. We gave it a 3 in the article. The only reason I'm hesitant to put it higher is because it does take a while.
3.5. I'm saying it. I'm doing it. I might be slightly biased because it was my preview card and it's very cute, but I have been really killing people with it, and that makes me very happy. Again, I don't think this is going to be a card that we actually bump in score, but I do want to say that it has been something I have auto-included far more than I was expecting to, and that's Spore Crawler, a 3-mana 3/2 that when it dies, you draw a card. It trades real well in this format, surprisingly. I'm happy to trade it with other 3-drops. And it also trades up with like some random like 6/3s and janky things. And it also just makes combat really difficult for your opponent because they can't actually get in and make any reasonable trades. It curves out well. It's aggressive early when it needs to be, and you're on the play on 3. You go like, 2/2 wolf into this, into a hook hand mariner or whatever. And you're just like a really strong board state. And then by the time they do start to deal with things or trade with them, you're getting to redraw, and it feels great. What do you think of this card, Yanks?
It's funny because I'm a little bit different from you on this. Like, I still wouldn't change its score, but it hasn't played, and I still like the card, but it hasn't played as well as I was looking to. Now, maybe it's just anecdotal, but I feel like every single time I play this card, it immediately gets exiled by the 1-mana red spell.
Oh, I have not had that happen to me very much.
That has happened to me a ton.
But that's still not that bad, right? Because that's going to happen with all of your other 3-mana 3/2s that do something slightly better, but they just don't. That just doesn't happen a percentage of the time because they're not getting their upside effect either.
Yeah, that's what I said. I wouldn't change the score on it. I just, it was scored highly because of the fact that it draws a card. Otherwise, if it was a 3-mana 3/2, it wouldn't be scored highly. So that just makes it. It's small sample size. It's still a very good card. I'm never cutting this card. It can be a part of a very aggressive curve, like you said.
I feel like you just have to average it out. Like if one out of 6 times it's getting exiled, like that's still a crap ton of value, I think. Oh,
for sure. As I said, I recognize that it's a small sample size on my part. It just, if it's 1 out of 6, even 2 out of 6, it's great value. It's felt like it's been 5 out of 6.
Okay. It's probably one of those things where it's like, you can feel it, like you remember the beats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay, Wolf Can Outcast, guys. This is a flip card that has performed a little bit better than I thought, probably for the same reason as the Pup situation. For me, it costs 2 mana less, so it's likely going to cost 4 mana if you control a werewolf, and it is a 5/4 for 4, which is okay. On the backside, it is whenever another werewolf or this dies, draw a card, and then it's a 6/5, which is a much bigger beater. I just think that this has performed a little bit better than I expected because there's a lot more good wolves, like Hokan Mariner and a few others, solid 3s with the like the red menacing werewolf. There's several 2-drop werewolves, and I'm happy to run them all.
Yeah, this is basically almost always a 4 mana 5/4.
Yeah, and it draws you cards when your other weaker things die.
Yeah, and the backside's great.
Yeah, I feel like werewolves are better in this set than they were in Midnight Hunt.
So yeah, the werewolf set. Makes sense.
Yeah, now the werewolves themselves are not as powerful as they were in Midnight Hunt, but the difference is that the rest of the set is powered down to where these werewolves actually really get a chance to shine. We're not getting like Tovolar powered cards, but Tovolar didn't do shit all in that set because all the rest of the werewolves sucked.
Yeah, and I think there's the lower top end like that in terms of power, but I actually think like the common uncommon werewolves are as good or better than they were in the last set.
Yeah, that's my point, is that there's so many other playable wolves that like.
Got it. Nuts. Okay, I misunderstood. I thought you were saying that these are also worse, but the rest of the set is so much lower power that these feel better.
I think it's a combination of both.
Got it.
Like, yeah, there is no Tovolar top end for sure, but then also like all these other wolves are just so much more playable within the set that they're in.
Yeah. Instead, you just get the stupid hexproof top end.
Dollhouse of Horrors. I'm actually going to let Yanks take this one because I have not played with this, but it was on Yanks' list for overperforming, and I know I fought him on this card, so I wanted to include it so I could say I was right. Continue.
Yeah. I actually have not played with this card either, but I've seen it against me in a number of occasions, and you just lose the game.
So tell me, Yanks, why is this card better than you thought?
Primarily because I think the format's a little slower than I was expecting it to be. Also, to be fair, I don't think I gave it enough credit for only costing 1 to activate. Like, it's so cheap, it doesn't take up any part of your turn, really. It is still, and it's not really a 5 mana do nothing, because it's really a 6 mana do something. You don't play it on turn 5.
I'm going to edit in this argument that we had about how it only costs 1. I'm going to edit it in, and it's going to be great. Is there any editors out here who can like help me like mix it in a really funny way? Awesome.
Like Manatee?
Manatee, help! Yeah, so I think this card is just getting you a ton of free value. I haven't gotten to play with or against it really, so it hasn't been like a thing for me. So I actually don't know how it's going to perform, but I still am very happy with this card.
Yeah, the format is, I think we talked about this earlier on the card, is a little more attrition-y than we've seen. So you just end up with a lot of things in the graveyard, and this just wins.
What did we give this initially?
A 3.
Okay, so it's probably like when we talk about these cards, we usually kind of meet in the middle somewhere. So it's probably closer to my initial expectation of like 3/5 or a 4 maybe. Yeah,
I would move it up again. I haven't seen it a ton. Just when I have, it's been good. So I would probably say 3/5, but it could be a 4. I just haven't gotten to use it myself.
Gotcha.
So it's hard to tell.
All right, the last card that I included, guys, is the Foreboding Statue. I don't know what we gave it, to be perfectly honest. This wasn't on Yanks' list, but I wanted to say that it's a card that I have been thrilled to have. I've had these in my sealed pools. I've had them in multiples sometimes, and I'm happy to run all of them, even if I'm not splashing. This is a card that ramps you and then turns into a giant beater. You ramp into threats that they have to remove, and then, oops, they're out of removal. I get to hit you in the face with a 5/5. I've loved this card, and it's made all of my splashing so easy. I've been super happy to play this. What do you think, Yanks?
Yeah, the card's been good. We gave it a 3. I'd probably have it in that same ballpark, but it has definitely been good, and it's better, and it probably deserves a higher rating in sealed for sure.
Yeah, I've been super happy with this. I've had some pretty greedy splashes with this card enabling it, and again, even in a 2-color deck, and I see this card, I'm just like, ooh, Andy, give it to me. It's so nice. Anytime you can have these like early enablers that just turn into threats just makes it so much more difficult for your opponent because they're so much less likely to have enough removal to go around. If your 3-drops require you to bleed dry them, what are they going to do about your 6-drop? Nothing.
Yeah, and this isn't really how we grade cards, but what I really like about this card in draft in particular is I love taking this card like pack 1, pick 4. Because now I can do whatever I want for the entire rest of the draft.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's definitely true.
And there's so many bombs in this format.
Yeah, we'll also do that with cards like Evolving Wilds sometimes. If you have like, well, these are all like 3s, but like if I take this Evolving Wilds, it just opens up so many more doors. This is even better than that because it doesn't actually punish you and it's very playable on its own, even if you choose not to splash in any way.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Evolving Wilds, I will play in a 2-color deck. But it's kind of like, okay, it's fine. It thins your deck, lets you pick your land, makes your opening hands a little more keepable. It's fine. This, I'm, like you said, actively happy to play even in a 2-color deck.
Yeah. As far as the Evolving Wilds, like it kind of depends, like how important is your 4 and 5-drop slot.
Yeah.
But like this is just good all the time. So yeah, I'm super happy with it. Doesn't matter what I'm playing, and allows you to be super greedy on the splash, which this set is a pretty bomb heavy set with good creatures. They aren't like insta-winning dragons, a lot of them, but they are just solid cards. So getting to splash like a random rare vampire that isn't necessarily worth switching colors for is really nice. So that was the last card, guys. Let's take a quick minute here to discuss archetypes. So let's kind of just go over the archetype tiers here. What do you think is the best archetype, Yinks?
Rakdos. And I don't think it's particularly close. I think it's closer than last set. Like it's nowhere near to the level that Dimir was in the last set. But I do think it's clearly the best to me.
Okay, what do you think is the worst?
I haven't played it, and maybe there's a reason. But my instincts and what I've seen tell me Simic.
Okay, I also haven't played much Simic. So for top 2, it's Rakdos and Selesnya for me. Bottom 2 is Simic and Azorius. Does that sound? I know you said you haven't had as much results with Selesnya. What would you pair for your other second highest?
I've actually had a decent amount of success with Golgari. But the little bit I've run into a lot of good Selesnya decks too, so I definitely think that belongs up in there. I would have Rakdos on its own tier, and then probably like Golgari, Selesnya, and Gruul maybe in the next tier.
Okay, so we're pretty different in the middle. So I'm like Rakdos, Selesnya, Gruul, Golgari, Orzhov. Maybe I might even put Orzhov above Golgari. And then Simic and Azorius like basically tied for last.
Yeah, Golgari is a weird one. I've just happened to have a lot of success with it. And maybe it's just I've gotten a non-proportionate number of ancient lumber knots passed to me in decks that just make me let me play Apprentice Sharpshooters as 4/4s and the Wolf as a 4/4, and but yeah, I think we're not that far, right? Our 2, 3, and 4, maybe not if you're moving Orzhov up there, but your initial 2, 3, and 4 were the same as mine, just jumbled up a little bit.
I thought your Selesnya was much lower.
I think I have Rakdos by itself, and then I have some mix of Golgari, Selesnya, and Gruul. 2, 3, 4.
Okay,
and then I think Simic at the bottom, and I think right above that for me is probably Boros.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Boros. Boros has not been super great. The rares are not good.
Yeah. And then kind of just in that dead middle, like, can be good, cannot, would be like, is it?
My is it has
Dimir.
been
What are we missing? Is it Dimir? Yeah, I kind of think it's like, for me, now that we're actually talking it out, I've got like 4 tiers, right? It's Rakdos, then the other 3 we talked about, Golgari, Selesnya, Gruul, which are all green decks, which is kind of interesting.
Green's great.
And then, like, that middle tier of, for me, be Orzhov, Is it? And I'm missing something.
Whatever. It's close enough.
Yeah.
We've rambled about it for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, The jumble, we're a little bit jumbled there, but I definitely think my bottom end is like Simic, Azorius, and then Golgari and
Boros?
And Boros are like, you know, second to bottom tier, and then the rest is pretty straightforward, like we talked about. The last thing, guys, is Blood Tokens, which is the new interesting addition to the set. Blood Tokens, I have thoroughly enjoyed. I liked him a bunch in the beginning. I know Yanks is a bit of a convert, so I'd like to hear your opinion on the Blood Tokens as to why it has changed.
I always liked the concept of Blood Tokens. When I was a little skeptical on them at first, it was mostly that I didn't think the synergies were there. I'm still not 100% sure they're all there, but I don't think it actually matters because they're good enough on their own. Games are going longer than I was anticipating. Like, you aren't completely out of these games as quickly as you were last set a lot of times. So you can actually afford to spend mana digging.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely true.
Don't get me wrong, you can still absolutely run into that 1, 2, 3, 4 curve and be dead. But that happens in every format. Every format there's an aggro deck that can have God draws and just beat you, but it doesn't happen like when every time you saw Dimir last time and you were just going Siege Zombie into 3-drop into Organ Grinder into Organ Grinder, I'm just dead.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree that the games are a bit longer, and I think that has a lot to do with Boros being a bit weaker, green being one of the stronger colors as far as like taller creatures. There's a reason all of our green decks are performing well. I wouldn't say green feels like the strongest color by any means, but it isn't a coincidence that all the green color combinations are pretty high up on both of our lists.
Yeah, I definitely basically like Jund in this format.
I will say that red is also, compared to last format where it was unplayable, I think it's amazing. Its removal is good. There's great targets for it. It pairs well. And also it's aggressive and quick and grindy with the Blood Tokens. It allows you to get a ton of card advantage. I like red a lot in this format.
Yeah, I like red a lot. Other than Boros.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the issue with Boros. Like, I think white is good. I think red is good. I think the color balance is one of the better that we've seen in the last few sets. The only issue with Boros is that it doesn't have the uncommons and rares to back it up. You can still get monocolor rares, and you can still get good white removal and good red removal and have a good deck. And I have had a lot of good Boros decks. The problem is that when you're in the right lane, you're drafting correctly, you'll never get rewarded because there are no fucking rewards for you to get. You get good removal and that's it. And you get good creatures, you're in the right lane, and then you have a good deck. But you can't be like, oh yes, they passed me this Boros bomb, because they're unplayable. Like the vanilla 3/3 that maybe makes you a blood token is the best case you can hope for as far as like rarity. Not super excited to run that.
Yeah, and Boros has the problem I was thinking about with white earlier, where you just get bricked by X4s, and sometimes they only cost 3 mana, and then your aggressive deck has problems. Plus the cards, especially in white, that you really want in that sort of Boros aggressive deck, the other white decks all want, like Traveling Minister.
Yeah, because Traveling Minister is really good in Selesnya with like training and stuff.
Really good at training. It's great in the life gain deck.
Flyers.
Yeah, so you just figure that's like a 1-drop that sorcerer speed pumps things. That sounds like a card that's going in an aggressive deck, but it's going in all the white decks. So you're not even getting the benefit of picking those up 9th, 10th pick like you might in some other formats.
I think the highlight of Boros is the uncommon vampire, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, guys, so that was the last subject we wanted to touch on. This is our mid-season update. We have 4 months in between, so we might do one more after we get a little bit more experience with the set and we get to play with a few more of the rares. But let us know in the comments down below what you think of the set and what cards have over or underperformed your expectations. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.